Ms. Barclay will take.
Ready whenever you are.
All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the March 8th, 2023 LSC meeting to order. Before we get started, I move that Dr. Barron be able to participate remotely, as well as myself be able to participate remotely in about 30 minutes, as I will have to leave and then join remotely. While I am not on, Mrs. Barclay will take over as the chair. All right, the motion's been made and seconded by Ms. Barclay. Any discussion? Yes.
Can we take attendance and confirm that we have form before we vote?
Oh, yeah, we can. I didn't know if you were supposed to do that first or move first, or because I can't technically participate if I'm not a part of the meeting.
Yeah, but I think, just for clarity, taking attendance and confirm that we have form.
In order for us to vote, we have to have
Okay. All right. So we'll start with taking the attendance. I withdraw my motion.
Stephen Mitchell,
Here.
Kara Barclay, here, I'll get Dr. Barron, because we know the situation, Joyce Brown, Dwayne Davis,
Here.
Richard Flowers,
Here.
Eugene Lewis, Jennifer Lewis, here, Tamara Pope, Reginald Spears,
Here.
Nicole Spicer, here, Raynalda Town.
Do we have a quorum? All right. Thank you. Again, welcome to the March 8th LSC meeting. I'd like to move that Dr. Barron be allowed to participate remotely, and that I, Stephen Mitchell, be allowed to participate remotely after I leave the meeting tonight.
Second.
All right, any discussion? I call the vote. All those in favor, vote by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Mr. Barron and myself will be allowed to participate remotely. All right, we'll go right into the agenda. Oh, as we always start with our vision, the Brownsville Classical School community intentionally values and highlights. He was supposed to he got the link, right? Yeah, he said he may or may not, depending on what's going on at the conference. Okay, the vision, the Brownsville Classical School community intentionally values and highlights the strength of all members through providing a personalized learning experience, celebrating diversity, and practicing creative problem solving in order to cultivate a strong, accelerated program to nurture lifelong learners. Our norms: be result oriented, be fully present, be respectful of others' time, assume the best intentions, and stay student focused. Our mission: BCS commits to the personalized growth and empowerment of all. All right, we'll go right into the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? Okay. Any motions to accept? I move that we accept the minutes. That's right. Any changes, modifications? Any discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, vote by saying aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Well, it's unanimous. All right, we'll move right into the agenda. Did everyone see the agenda?
I'd like to move we accept the agenda as written. Second.
All right, any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of accepting the agenda as written, vote by raising your hand. Any opposed? None opposed? Any abstentions? All right, there being none, that the agenda is approved. We'll go right into the agenda with the principal's report.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update with some data. Our attendance rate dropped by 7/100 of a point. We are at 95.93%. Last month, we were at 96. Our on track for students grades 3 through 6. Last month, we had 174 on track. I'm sorry, last month we had 185 on track. This month we have 174. We have 35 who are almost on track, 10 near on track, 4 far from on track, and 6 completely off track. This is due to grades and attendance. Medical compliance went up 1/4 of a percentage point to 84.26, up from 84.01. Our grade point averages, so from February to March, the number of students who have a 3.5 or higher decreased from 151 to 145. We still have 46 students who have a 3.0 to a 3.5, 26 students who have a 2.5 to a 3.0, 11 students who have a 2.0 to a 2.5, and we have 1 student who has less than a 2.0, which is an increase from February. We have family income information forms did increase slightly, just a little bit over 1/4 of a percentage point, up to 66.24%. Continue to shout out Ms. Shook's homeroom for having 100% of their family income information forms turned in. A new data point that I want to share this month is our parent portal registration. 85.79% of our families are registered for their parent portal account, which means that they have claimed it, they have a username and a password. That is 338 out of our 394 students. Our COVID year-to-date data is we've had 50 cases from August 21st until March 7th is the last time the data was updated. But we did recently experience a spike at the end of February. We had, I don't know the exact number, but we went up from our last meeting in February from 41 cases to 50. So I think that's about 9 cases since the last time we had an LSC meeting. And then on the CPS COVID data website, there also is information on completed vaccination courses. And as of March 8th, 73.1% of our students have had both initial vaccinations. For emergency management, we will be hosting our 3rd evacuation drill, aka fire drill, in March of this month. Well, this month. We also will have one more before school is out. We practice a shelter in place for in December, but we probably will practice one more of those. So we'll have 3 more emergency management drills. For the month of March, we kicked off the month with Read Across America Day. This is also Women's History Month, which is started on March 1st. We just celebrated Holi today, one of our Indian American spring holidays. It's a first in BCS history, and I must say it was mighty fun. Pi Day is March 14th. Our grade 3 through 6 students will be participating in a Pi Day celebration, and kindergarten through 2nd grade will do in-classroom activities. March 17th is no school for school improvement. March 16th is the end of the quarter, so teachers will be spending much of that day finalizing grades and preparing for quarter 4. Virtual Snacks with Spicer is March 22nd. Be on the lookout through Parent Square for that link. For our LSC members, I'll send that invitation to you all as well. So for our community members, if you'd like to join to see what that is like, you can join us at that time. The last week in March is our Scholastic Book Fair, and we are welcoming back Mrs. Battle that week. It is also a peer appreciation week that week as well. And it's a fun-filled week because it's also literacy night on that Tuesday before report card pickup, which is on March 29th.
Are we participating in the Genius League math tournament?
We are not participating in the Genius League math tournament this time because it is the day before IAR testing. And so the teachers thought it would be too disruptive right before we started testing. So we opted not to participate this time.
So what about our students?
I guess if they don't come to school for the day, it would be an absence. But as a school, we're not going.
Would it be an excuse?
Can we take that offline? Thank you. Okay. All right, jumping into the academic updates, domain one, which is organizational leadership. All of our professional development is aligned to our CIWP priorities. The school leadership team attended a district meeting to learn about the new CIWP timeline and process. The ILT developed look-fors for learning conditions and success criteria for our new learning structures that will increase academic discourse in classes. Our content team leads from ILT led their content release days, focused on tailoring the instruction to meet the needs of all students. We held our bi-weekly meetings for ILT, MTSS, our behavioral health team, and our culture and climate team. The STEM team led our flex professional development for a Win Wednesdays for teachers. Teachers got an opportunity to collaborate and work on their priorities and enjoy a beverage bar. For domain two, for the instructional core, we facilitated IAR test administrator training, IAR proctor training. We finalized our testing schedule. Our grade level teams participated in professional learning during team meetings around instructional rigor, increasing student to student discourse, and using data to make instructional decisions. Mr. Avila, our fifth, sixth grade science teacher, is continuing to work with the network for our STEM exhibition, aka Science Fair, that will be the focus for fourth quarter. I am proud to announce that we held our school-wide election for our student LSC member. Our student LSC member elect is Blake Daniels from sixth grade. His homeroom is 212. Ms. Keepers is now working with a core group of fifth and sixth graders in math during their SOAR time as a result of our middle of the year iReady scores. Domain three, around culture and climate, our Black History Month committee successfully hosted a festival, Sip and Paint, and Spirit Week. Ladies of Virtue is in their second semester of programming, and they also welcome fourth graders to the group. Classrooms to Careers also is in the midst of their programming, their 8-week programming with the select fifth and sixth graders. Snacks with Spicer is coming up on March 22nd. Join us virtually. Mention the spring book fair is March 27th through March 31st. And the attendance team created our quarter three incentive to the skating rink. Due to the recent impact of COVID and student illnesses, the committee is looking at that criteria so that we are moving forward as fairly as possible. But the big thing for that incentive was targeting late arrival. So clarity around our tardy policy was sent out to families in the principal newsletter as well as the teacher newsletters. And we've also posted on Parent Square. Lastly, in culture and climate, we are excited to welcome 1000 Watts back. That means spring is on the horizon. So they will be back to support recess. The recess and lunch team will also engage in training this Friday so that we can improve incident reporting and student supervision. For domain four in talent, I attended the February CEO principals meeting. The anticipated positions for school year 24 are posted and interviews have started. So if anyone knows of any great educators that you can send this way, please let them know that our positions are posted. We also will be sending out the staff preference forms for staff to communicate if they will be leaving our school community or if they will be staying on, what grade levels and content areas would they like to teach. Ms. Long, who is our cadre, remains at BCS. We thought we would just have her for a month, but it's looking like we're having her for a little bit longer, which has been extremely helpful in Mrs. Battle's maternity leave. I continue to mentor Principal Murphy at Kendrick's, which is right across the Dan Ryan on 43rd. I continue to participate in the Network 9 Principal Collaboration Team with Drake, Mollison, Revis, Woodlawn, and Beasley. All of our instructional support staff have completed their middle of the year evaluations, and they are entered in PeopleSoft. And then last but not least, reach observations of all instructional staff are still in progress. That concludes the academic updates of my report. Yes.
And I apologize if we have this and I'm just unaware. Do we have a principal's honor roll?
We do not.
Do we have intentions on creating one?
I don't.
As we have such high achievers, I think that it would be something that we hopefully can put on your radar.
So the question was around principal's honor roll, and I'm worried about principal's honor roll or AB honor roll, because with principal's honor roll, which is straight A's and probably perfect attendance, I think that the waters will get muddled because people are really trying to keep their kids home if they're sick. And then if you are excluded for a COVID absence, if you are excluded for a COVID absence, I don't want that to necessarily affect your opportunities to be on principal's list. But even if we excluded and just looked at grades, I think it's so few students that would not be on the principal's honor roll or the AB honor roll that it could be like you are the person who doesn't have those grades. But maybe if we did something that was just straight A's, because we do have students who have A's and B's, but that's definitely something I can bring up to the culture and climate team. I just want to make sure it's inclusive and supportive environment because there's already lots of academic pressure. So I just want to be cognizant.
Be a reward.
It would be, but I think it would add to some of the anxiety that already exists without that incentive.
Point of information, I suppose. I know that I've heard a lot of parents in our community talking about how we used to run the award ceremonies and how sometimes students felt excluded from said award ceremonies for not getting this, that, or the other. So I know that because I was helping out with those in the past, that we've been trying to figure out a way to make them not only more inclusive, but more intentional. So
I respect that and those who feel that way, but we're talking about the real world. And even though these are our kids, participation trophies aren't guaranteed. So I just think that we should at least talk about it or formulate a committee. I don't think it should be tied to attendance, but I do think that it should be a motivator. If you don't see your name on the list, then figure out why your name is not on the straight A list. And it doesn't have to be pressure, but there's room for improvement and that you can figure out how to get on there. So I just think it's something that we can discuss. And I'm perfectly fine with it because as it stands right now.
Yes. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Flowers. I definitely think that that is a topic that we can bring to the climate and culture team, and our counselors lead that. So I think definitely we can talk about the SEL implications for that. Am I okay to move into budget reviews? Okay, I'm going to jump into budget review. Yes. All right, so some of us participated recently in the LSC Module 4 budget. And so I realized that some of the financial documents that I was sharing with you all monthly was really like those documents that you share at the beginning during the organizational meeting. So I did want to let you know that if you look in the folder for March, that practice is shifting just a little bit to the things that you are supposed to get monthly. So one of the things I want to bring your attention to is there'll be a copy of our bank statement in there. So you are able to see all the deposits and credits, as well as any checks that are paid out or any withdrawals. It can be a little bit deceiving. I don't want to say overwhelming because with the ePay, if you pay on the ePay site, technically like Visa and like processing fees are paid, but because of the agreement with the district and these sites, we get those fees reimbursed. So it's like it comes out, but then it goes back in. So I just wanted to let you know that those are pretty much the debits that you'll see on the bank statement outside of check disbursements. The second change that you'll see is that you'll see the internal account reconciliation report. And the reconciliation report basically lists any checks that we have that have not been cashed yet. The next thing that you'll see is the cash disbursements journal, and those are all the checks that we've written for the course of the month. Cash receipt journals are any cash that we receive. So this month you should see leasing checks that have come in or monies that have come in, reimbursement from the ePay site. So for example, this month we got $320 back, and then funds from the kindness grants will come in. And then last but not least is the summary trial balance that lets you know how our internal accounts is allocated. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of those shifts. The other resource that I'm sharing related to budget is if you have looked at the non-payroll budget lines that have been added to the folder, you'll see that basically it is a series of numbers with a dollar amount associated with it. I have put in 2 guides in that folder that will help you understand what those numbers mean. So what programs, what accounts are those dollars allocated to? So those resources are in there along with our non-payroll, which is our discretionary funds that we usually buy supplies, curriculum, any materials with. And then you'll also see our payroll lines, which include things like teacher salaries, bucket pointer lines, which are usually associated with benefits, unemployment, hospitalization, dental insurance, all those things, because the full cost of positions come out of our local budgets, which is why you see all those delineations. So just wanted to share some changes when it comes to the financial reporting and what's available in our LSC folder. I do have 3 budget transfers that I am requesting. We are going to do those one by one. And so, parliamentarian, can you remind me of my language again? I move that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I move that we transfer $7,000 to an extended day bucket for teachers. The $7,000 covers non-instructional rate for anytime teachers work outside the school day. So for example, today we had several staff members that stayed to support the Holy celebration. So I would use money from that bucket to pay them for that. Teachers who volunteer on committees that stay after school, I typically pay them extended day funds for that participation. So this amount of $7,000 to open an extended day bucket for teachers will last us from now until the end of the school year.
All right, the motion's been made and second. Any discussion? There being, oh,
I'm sorry. Where did the
Give me 1 second.
or where did the number come from? Like, why is it?
Ms. Jones calculated the number of staff that we typically have on a committee that stay after school with the number of weeks left, and that she came up with the 7,000. It is probably not going to be all $7,000 in overtime. That's direct dollars to teachers, but in an overtime bucket, we also have to account for benefits because there is a benefit calculation that goes along with your hourly rate. So we typically put in more money than the actual money that will go to the teacher for payout because we also have to cover benefits associated with that. You're welcome.
Any more discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of the motion as stated, vote by raising your hand. Wayne, did you say- Okay, so all those in favor, you see? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Are you keeping it up for that?
No, I'm not.
So you're, yes.
I am a yes. I am a yes.
So that motion passes.
I did not change my mind. Next, we would like to transfer, um, give me 1 second. Can you all give me 1 second?
Just add that Ms. Brown came in at 5:58 p.m.
Thank you. I apologize for that. I wanted to come back, Ms. Lewis, to your question for the initial budget transfer. You were asking where is it coming from? So it's going in between salary lines. So we're taking it from a benefits pointer line that has extra funds on it in a general salary bucket, and we're moving it over to open. So we can only take money from salary buckets to open salary buckets. So we are transferring money from the benefits pointer line to open the position for the teachers. Okay, so it's going from salary line to salary line. The second budget transfer is for $2,000, and this is to clear up the negative for the extended day bucket for ESP. And so what that means for ESP, so Mr. Cook is here until 6. If he's here for an event, he goes past his hours. So we have to pay for that. And then we do have Saturday programming, and we also have sports and things related to that. So some of our instructional support staff have stayed for those things. We also have new detention, and some of our ESPs support the supervision of that. And so we pay them extended day just like we pay teachers extended day. So they have been paid for those services, and so that bucket is negative. So it's for us to transfer money to cover it, and it is coming from the same benefit pointer lines in the general salary bucket to cover those extended day salary monies. I move $2,000 from the general pointer line in the general salary bucket to clear up a negative for the extended day bucket for ESPs.
Who did you get, Mrs. Spears or? All right, any discussion? Yes.
Ms. Baker, do you anticipate needing more
No,
for the rest of the school year?
I don't think so.
Any more discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes.
What was the one?
Unanimous.
I got you right back.
Thank you, Dr. Pope. The last budget transfer is for $89. The transfer is coming from the Spanish supply line going to the Spanish furniture line. Ms. Lions got a donation of $500 for supplies. And so we were able to pull in that donation and purchase most of what she wanted with her donated funds. However, with Amazon, she wanted a kneeling chair. It is coded as furniture. So the donations are in a line that I cannot purchase furniture from. And so because I allocated supply monies for Spanish for Miss Lyons, I am moving Spanish supply monies to a Spanish furniture line so that she can get her kneeling chair. And the cost is $89.99. So I move that we transfer $89.99 from the Spanish supply line to a furniture line to purchase the kneeling chair for Miss Lyons.
I have a motion been made and a second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of this motion, vote by raising your hand. All right, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes.
All right. The next thing in the budget review are our school checks. We did write quite a few checks in February, so I just want to go through those. We purchased the Black History Month balloons from Bronze Balloons. The cost was $252.50. We paid for that from our donations line. So anytime we get donations through ePay, we just keep the money there. It's used at the principal's discretion. So we used part of those donations to purchase the balloons for Black History Month. Our third and sixth graders went to Rosemont for the hockey STEM day. And so we paid $1,334.75 for admissions for the students to attend. We had a sneaker ball in February and we paid a DJ $350. We had 100-day t-shirts for the school. We took those money from our Spirit Gear athletics line. That was $3,284.25. We participated in a tournament at Mark Skinner West Elementary School. The fee for the tournament was $120. We took that from our basketball line. We purchased the flowers for our kindness grams from Ashley Addison Florist Company. That was $234.75. The food for our Black History Month festival came from Catering Out the Box, and that came from student fees, $1,220. And lastly, we have Timor Entertainment for our 360 photo booth. That came from student fees, $1,100. So total checks for the month of February was $7,896.25. Yes.
So was there a motion?
There's no motion, it's information.
We paid the 360 vendor. Did we get our pictures?
In progress. Yes. Mhm. It's coming, I promise.
I can speak loud enough, no. So those are checks written in February. Some of those things we discussed last month. Right?
Yes. And so this, after the budget review, I share, I'm sorry, I'll recap. After the budget review, after the budget LSC training module, I realized that I should have been sharing some different reports with you all. And so this is one of the reports. So although there was pre-approval and we talked about these expenditures, I wanted to just make sure that people knew that those were actually paid out and sent. Yep. And the check is not cashed. It's just a disbursement. And so it's on the report because we wrote the check.
Just for the record, as I indicated, I have to leave, but I'm going to log on. I'm going to actually get on my phone and listen in, but I won't be able to log back on until a bit. But Akira will take over until I get back on.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you said that, because I'll probably have to do the same thing. I've got to get back to work, but not until the kids come up.
Okay. All right. So our fundraising report for the kindness grants is incomplete.
If you're going to leave, then a motion needs to be put on the floor to approve you to attend virtually. That was done for Stephen Mitchell, and well, she said she was getting on, so she's getting on virtually and plans to participate. A motion needs to be put on the floor and approved for that to happen.
I move if it's necessary that I leave, I'll continue the meeting virtually.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of allowing Ms. Brown to participate remotely, vote by raising your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. See you guys in a second.
Thank you. Our totals for the kindness grants, we don't have our fundraising report finalized. That will be presented in April's LSC meeting, but I can give you a rough total of how much we raised. About $2,520. That was one of our resident principals' goals, was to increase our profit margin from about $500 for all that work, and she made it happen. So I just want to say thank you to all the families for your generosity, because it was a very successful fundraiser. But the full report will be provided in April's meeting.
2,500 roughly. That's the gross, correct? Okay.
That is the gross. Yes, that is the gross. No, it's not the profit. There's gross, what we actually brought in. Okay. Last part of my report is related to diverse learners. Our staffing remains the same. We do have 3 diverse learner teachers and 1 diverse learner teacher resident, and 4 special education classroom assistants. For our caseloads, we did have a student transition from a 504 plan to an IEP, or individualized education plan. So we are in the process of revising the schedules for our diverse learner team. And so those are the big happenings in special education. That formally concludes all of my report. Any questions for me? Okay.
Thank you, Principal Spicer. We are going to move on with our agenda to old business.
Good evening, everyone. Just an update on the evaluation committee. Principal Spicer has uploaded and given the subcommittee all of her evidence. We are in the process of doing our first review of said evidence. We will likely meet twice before the end of this month in order to discuss, have conversation, and come up with a preliminary score and a preliminary report, and then present that to this body as the rules provide, and give Principal Spicer an opportunity to respond once we formalize those numbers. So everything's moving as fast as it can in March in the Chicago public school system. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to catch me offline after said meeting. But we're moving ahead, full steam ahead. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you. Our second item of old business, the LSC listening box. Mr. Spears.
I'm going to speak to that since Mr. Mitchell is in transition. So at, I believe, 2 meetings ago, we talked about having some sort of communication vehicle for community members, parents, etc., for Bronzeville Classical School to communicate with the local school council. Mr. Mitchell and I met earlier this week to discuss it, and we would like to propose to this body that we use our public participation Google form that we use for the meetings to as a communication tool for anyone who has questions, comments, concerns. The way it would work that we've talked about is, and this form would be allowable to either be anonymous or you can identify yourself if you so choose. And we will take comments, questions, concerns starting the day after an LSC meeting all the way up to the Wednesday before the next meeting to allow Principal Spicer or any comments or questions that are directed to anyone on the LSC time to view those, review them, and give a poignant response the following week during the public participation portion of the meeting. The Google form is accessible to everyone on the local school council, so you'll be able to see in a spreadsheet what questions or comments or concerns have been raised so that we all have access to it and are able to see it. I'm sorry, hold on. Mr. Mitchell is having trouble hearing. I want to make sure that he can hear what's going on.
You want my phone?
No, I think it's just his connecting into the meeting. So that's the what we discussed about that. I don't know if this needs to be a motion. We kind of decided between us to recommend to this body to not do an email. We felt like we want to be able to keep it anonymous for people, and if it's an email, there's a tracer to that. We also discussed not having a physical box because it's too difficult to manage, and two, we would have people coming in and out of the building, which would be a security nightmare for everyone. And this way, we will also create a QR code and a tiny URL link that will be linked directly to the Google form so that we can apply that to the minutes. It'll be on the minutes and posted each day, each time we're going to have a meeting. When that's posted on the door, we can also send that out via Parent Square or any other communication tool that we use, email, etc. So anyone who has a comment anytime can either use the tiny URL link or the QR code. It'll be called what? I mean, I think we can title it whatever we like. I think the working title was
Listening
LSC
box.
Mailbox.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, and it'll be the same form that we use during the meeting. So anyone who is remote viewing will use the same exact form to voice their comments or concerns during the meeting and in between meetings.
And it'll be available starting after this meeting.
It's already available. All I have to do is create the QR code, but there's already a tiny URL, so it's tinyurl.com/BCS-LSC, and anybody can type that in, and it'll take you right to the Google form that's already set up.
I move going forward that we start to use a Google form to solicit any questions, comments, or concerns from the public or anyone else that has anything that they would like to communicate to the LSC.
Principal Spicer, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion?
My question. What? Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm sorry.
My question is related to having I agree, and I want to support the LSC listening box. My question is, do we have a protocol in place if we receive a question, comment, or concern that is not an LSC related issue?
So yes, we do have a procedure that we talked about for that. It'll be brought up. We will comment on it in the meeting during public participation, and then the chair will acknowledge that this is not an LSC comment, question, or concern, and we'll leave it at that. And if the person who's posed that and is watching the meeting, then they can direct that question to the appropriate body.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion has been made and properly seconded. All approve, say, show a hand.
Mr. Mitchell also is voting with his hand up.
Thank you. Any abstentions? Oh, opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, motion carried.
Just before we move to the next agenda item, Mr. Mitchell, can you come off of mute, and I want to see if we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes. Won't he do it?
he is. He's back. But you still have to hold the mic.
All right,
Okay.
new business.
Okay, Mr. Mitchell, we are at the new business section of our agenda.
Okay, awesome. So now we'll move on to fundraiser requests.
This is not a new request that needs to be voted on. I did just want to remind the LSC that at the beginning of the year, when we voted to do our fall Scholastic Book Fair, we also presented and approved the spring fundraiser. So I just wanted to resurface that so that we all remember that that was voted on and approved in the fall.
Okay, are there any fundraiser requests?
There is not a fundraising request. There was just a reminder that we approved previously our upcoming spring Scholastic Book Fair. Just information.
Okay. So I guess we can move on to the new student LSC representative.
Yes, so this spring we conducted our election. Our entire student body from kindergarten through sixth grade participated in elections. I'm so proud of the students. We had 8 candidates. They recorded speeches. They were played on the announcements. They did a little listening tour, and we did elect Blake from our sixth grade class. He will officially serve next year when he becomes a seventh grader. The LSC student representative has to be a seventh or eighth grader, but because we have sixth graders, we were able to identify a sixth grader who wanted to run for their seventh grade year. We will elect the student LSC representative annually.
Okay. All right, next we're moving on to the LSC AB election.
Yes, so I received the ballots for the LSC AB election. I'm going to pass out ballots and envelopes. Our teacher representatives and our non-teaching representative have already voted. So I'm going to pass out your ballots, the blank envelopes. Please cast your ballot, vote it, put it inside your envelope, and then you'll sign the roster saying that you voted.
And should I tell people that I'm running, or is that not allowed? I don't know.
You can, we now know, but you are definitely listed on the ballot. And I do have your candidate statement available if anyone would like to review that.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
I have both candidate statements available.
Okay, awesome. Next, we'll move on to our public comment section.
We only have one. Oh, well, we'll start with any in-person comments or questions. We have one in our newly established local school council listening mailbox. I just wanted you to hear it because this is probably for you.
Okay, please, hold one moment, please.
Absolutely.
No, I'm gonna give you an envelope. Yes, I do need the roster back. Oh, and
Ms. Brown, Dr. Barron, and Mr. Mitchell, you still have time to vote if you were unable to vote in person today.
Yeah, I think voting is open until in April, right?
Yes, so I'll make sure that I get those ballots.
Hey, can you just, you know, okay. No, we are. Yeah, it's all good. That question is over. Okay. Yes, voting is until April 12th. Yes. I just need you all to make sure you sign in.
All right.
All right, we waiting on this public comment.
Yes, and Mr. Spears says for me, so let me listen up. The statements are coming around and then the, sign in for your vote.
Okay, Mr. Spears, I am all ears.
Our public comment is actually a question this time. It says, we are experiencing a surge in COVID-19 infections in the classrooms. What measures are in place to reinforce CDC masking requirements post close contact exposure / post COVID infection?
We are providing masks for all classes that are required to mask for 10 days after a positive case is confirmed in their classroom. We have ample amount of masks on hand. We just replenished our PPE order for disinfectant wipes as well as gloves. It is important to note that we are no longer using the active wipes. We have transitioned to the Lysol wipes. So that's what we'll be using for disinfectant wipes. At my principal's meeting yesterday, the facilities team was there. So the chief operating officer, Charles Mayfield, was there, along with his second in command, Ivan. I don't know Ivan's last name, and two more senior leaders from the facilities team. They are going to reiterate with our custodial partners that we are still using the enhanced cleaning process, and there is a sprayer on site that is sprayed in the evening in classrooms where a confirmed case has been identified. Last week, when we noticed the increase in positive cases, particularly in our 5th and 6th grade, it was elevated to our facilities team. They did do an enhanced cleaning process, and I have been made aware that the sprayer that disinfects whatever it disinfects is still on site and should be used. So I was able to confirm all of those positive case locations. All those locations have been treated. If your child tested this week and they already tested positive in the last 90 days, if they come back positive, the contact tracing team will take care of those notifications, because typically those students don't have to isolate again because there's a chance you'll test positive again within those 90 days. So we will handle those cases as they come. Today was our testing day. Our testing nurse noticed that we had an increase of students who tested this week. So she was like, what happened? So it could be that some students who tested positive tested again today. But again, if those things happen, we can take care of it. But outside of providing masks, disinfectant wipes, making sure the enhanced cleaning process is taking place. When I see students who are improperly wearing their mask, I do remind them to wear their mask properly over their noses and mouths. I think that families need to reinforce those conversations, because I absolutely see kids coming to the building and immediately take their mask off. And so if I see that, I absolutely tell them, if your parents sent it, you must wear it. So those are some of the things that we are doing to mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
I will say too, from a teacher's perspective, I've been really impressed with our 5th and 6th graders who have really been wearing their masks with fidelity the last few days and late last week. So it was noticeable to me how many of them were wearing their masks with fidelity. So kudos to 5th and 6th grade for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Spears. Any other comments?
Nope. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Mr. Mitchell? You're muted.
Yeah, did he move to, I couldn't hear what with the motion.
Yes, it was a motion to adjourn and it was properly seconded.
Okay, perfect. Any discussion?
Yes, we have a question. I'm sorry.
Just, was there any follow-up with the sidewalk?
Well, would you like for me to withdraw my motion?
I would, sir, please.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, so what's the question? It's withdrawn.
Is there any follow-up with, installing the sidewalk?
Oh my gosh, I have not, I'm gonna put that back on my priority list.
It's a big money.
Yes.
So I think about it.
Yeah, so I need to re-elevate that, but I will share another win that is related to concrete. The alderman, definitely supported our safety campaign. Funds have been allocated and, scheduled for the spring construction, season. There will be 4 pedestrian refuge islands that will be,
Installed along State Street so that it is safer for pedestrians to cross back and forth over State Street. I believe 40th, 41st, 42nd, and Roof Street. So those are the 4. With those refuge islands for pedestrians, it is going to narrow the road, so it's supposed to make people slow down. They also are going to paint on the pavement, like school crossings and stuff like that. She wasn't able to tell me how many and what the location, but there will be increased striping on the ground. I did ask for the digital speed sign, like on King Drive by Mollison, but she wasn't able to confirm that, but she's gonna take it back. CDOT is also, or Chicago Department of Transportation, is also going to change the timing on the traffic lights because the timing going north on State Street is shorter than the timing going south on State Street. So people going north think that they can just turn left on yellow, and that is problematic. So the timing is going to be shifted there. There is a sign. And we probably cannot get a car assigned to our school for entry because of obvious public safety reasons, but she is partnering to see if we can get a special detail for a short period of time to reinforce traffic expectations in the area. So those folks that are doing U-turns and double parking, hopefully they'll be ticketed, so they will be discouraged from doing those practices. The last ask was for speed bumps on Root Street. They cannot be installed on State Street because any street that has a bus route, you cannot have speed bumps on. And we know that there is a bus, the CTA bus that goes down State Street. But to install speed bumps on the residential streets or even Root Street, she has to go through a series of town halls and community meetings before those decisions can be made. But we for sure have the pedestrian crosswalks, the traffic light, and the increased pavement markers so that people remember that this is a school zone.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I had a question. It'll be quick. It'll be quick. Not to belabor the point, but crossing guards and street closures. And the reason I asked that is because the other day I was going downstate and Beasley has the street blocks. They have 3 crossing guards out there. So what is the criteria, and is there something that we can do to help move that forward with the alderman?
The alderman's not over crossing guards. That has been put under the CPS umbrella. So I do have a person that I can reach out to get a crossing guard. But yesterday at our principals meeting, the COO stated that they are still experiencing staffing shortages, and crossing guards is one of them. So I will work on securing the position, but it may take us some time to actually fill the position. unless one of our parents want a little part-time job. So we are working on that, and that was a point of discussion, the crossing guard. And the street closures, I wonder who manages their street closures, because Mr. Williams got clean cussed out when we tried to close the streets off, and I want everybody to be safe. And so that's why we no longer close off the street.
I move that we adjourn.
Mitchell?
In the absence, more than welcome to have the vice president.
Mr. Mitchell?
I can't hear. Has a motion been seconded?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion?
None.
All right, there being none, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, vote by raising your hand. All right, any opposed?
Mr. Mitchell?
Any abstentions? All right, you guys have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.